All right. Before we get started here, let me try to see if I can get to an intro. If not, then we'll just get started right away. There we go. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a quick edition tonight of Patriots Preview. I am your host, Ben Cruz. For those that don't know me, I am a host here on um, the IM6 and the IM6 Sports Network. Of course, I have my own show on Kicking with Cruz, which I typically have every single week. And my one of my co-hosts, Isaiah, is currently feeling a little under the weather. Tonight we're gonna have our extra point show. Tonight we might have it tomorrow. We're not sure about that yet. But I figure because the Patriots, my New England Patriots, have their next game tomorrow night, I'd figure to, give you guys a little bit of a quick overall preview in terms of what the game's going to look like coming in tomorrow. How I felt so far about this Patriots team, because I really haven't gotten my chance to kind of talk on my own with you guys about how this season's gone so far through the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. We kick off week 3. Crazy enough already, starting tomorrow night. But before we get started, guys, make sure to follow, like, comment, and subscribe to the MI6 and IM6 Sports Network. I'll make sure to have the let's see here. The right down here in the ticker bar. This is my ticker bar for my Kicking with Cruz show. But make sure to follow, like, comment on the MI6 IN6 Sports Network. We have all of our stuff on YouTube, Facebook. We've had our moments here and there where we've tried to get everything on, pretty much published everything. But like I mentioned, you guys can really follow us on everywhere. We're really trying to keep growing on our network every single week, every single day. So we just greatly appreciate it. And if you guys, for those that join in for my show for tonight, if you guys like what I'm talking about specifically, also feel free to follow me on Twitter. Right down here at BenCruz144, all one word. And you all, like I mentioned before, I also have my own show, Kicking with Cruz, where I talk everything football related, including my Patriots, baseball, basketball's coming up, hockey's coming up, and of course with all my great co-hosts on that program. And so yeah, I'm and obviously a very busy man around this overall network, and I couldn't be any more grateful for that. So with that further ado, let's now get into Game 3 for the New England Patriots, as both teams right now are coming in at 1-1. Uh, I'll first go into the opponent that they're going to be taking on really quick, and that's going to be the New York Jets. Now, the New York Jets, of course, they are hopeful to have a full regular season by Aaron Rodgers, as we do have a surprise guest here for tonight. That is Isaiah Leon. Isaiah, you're also repping my team tonight, my friend. So I'm also grateful for that. You look like you're in good spirits, so I'm really proud of that, my friend. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. I hope you're doing okay. Like I said, I know you were saying off the air that you weren't feeling great, but how are you doing, my friend? I really figured that I decided to do a show for tonight with the Patriots game coming tomorrow night. So yeah, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, Ben, feeling a little better than I was a few hours ago. I won't lie, was dealing with like the worst headache ever, and I took a couple Tylenols. Thankfully, it looks like the pills are hitting right now, so feeling definitely a lot better than I've been feeling. I know the Patriots are playing the Jets on Thursday Night Football, so I wanted just to come on and just give my quick thoughts about it. I know it's a huge game, especially where you are, living in the East Coast, that Boston, New York area. These two teams absolutely don't like each other, so it's gonna be fun. I can't wait. And yeah, I am wearing a Patriots shirt because I saw this was like a Patriots show, so I was like, I might as well put on something that was like appropriate for this. So
Let's go.
I'm wearing my Bailey Zappi Patriots shirt, even though he's no longer on the team. But still, like I thought this was like the only thing that was appropriate for me to wear tonight.
I love to see it. Love to see those colors, Isaiah. And next week, we'll hopefully maybe have another Pages preview show because, fortunate enough, both our teams we're going to be facing each other. Which I feel like Isaiah, we don't get the chance to talk about often. I feel like our teams like play each other like every like 3-4 years. So it's kind of special that when we get the chance to essentially have both of us on the channel, that both of our teams will be going at it. And we'll talk about that game next week. But like before we came on here, I just want to kind of quickly kind of recap kind of the first 2 weeks how the Patriots did. Of course, the first week they just barely pulled it out against the Cincinnati Bengals, against a offense that, of course, still is kind of a work in progress. I know they did a lot better last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. They just came with a pass interference on 4th and 16, 17 away from being 1-1. But regardless of the fact, that was a really good win for the Patriots. And then week two, it was a tough one, but I will say I do really appreciate how the Patriots have been fighting for the first 2 weeks. I will say that I know a lot of people on the media side of things were not really giving much of a chance to really do anything this year, including myself. I think a lot of Patriots fans are kind of hopeful in terms of what's going to happen with the first rounder head coach Jerome Mayo. And I will say this so far that, I do think that there's going to be a lot of growing optimism for what's to come for the season. They hopefully, specifically, if they're not going to be great, at least be competitive and fight all the way to the end. And at least for the first 2 weeks, it looks like that's going to be a case, which I think is a very, very promising sign.
Yeah, honestly, like I've been very impressed by the Patriots. I think like out of all the teams that have come out, out of the gate here in the beginning of the season, I think the Patriots are probably like the most impressive one because you didn't really have any expectations for this team. Like I think the realistic expectation was for the Patriots to probably go like 4-13 or something in that range, 5-12 maybe, and just be competitive. I mean, last year was just awful. Like it wasn't like the Patriots just lost. They did lose, but it was also that they weren't competitive in a lot of the games. And a lot of the games you watch, you were just like the TV was pretty much turned off in the second half because you knew they weren't going to come back, especially with how pathetic the offense was last year and how bad Mac Jones played and Zappy played and how the receivers just couldn't catch the football. Like a lot of the games, you just sat there and you were like, okay, if this game gets to like 21-0 or it gets to like that point of a deficit, there was no hope for the Patriots to come back because that's how bad their offense was. But with this team, with the defense playing the way they are, with Christian Gonzalez playing the way he is right now, and keep in mind, they're doing all of this without Matthew Judon, which makes it even more impressive to trade your star pass rusher before the season starts and still have the defense cooking the way that they are right now. I mean, it's just impressive stuff from Jerod Mayo and his defensive staff. And then, like the offense, what they just got to do is just manage the game, get first downs, don't turn the football over. That's what they've been doing. Like they know the defense is going to keep this game very, very close, very, very low scoring. All they just got to do is just punch the ball into the end zone maybe once or twice, get the field goals when they have to get the field goals, and just be competitive. And that's what they're doing. Like they're putting together a competitive product, and also they're not doing this versus like the Panthers or any of those just trash teams. They're doing this versus the Bengals with Joe Burrow. I know Jamar Chase. I mean, T. Higgins didn't play, but still, they had Jamar Chase on the football field, and against a Seahawks team that last year had a winning record, and a lot of people this year are picking them to go to the playoffs as well. So they're doing these against some really good teams that might be in the playoffs. Come January. So it's been very, very impressive what the Patriots have done, and I think Ben, as a Patriots fan, you should definitely be very happy because they're showing the fight, they're showing the competitive spirit, and I mean that's all you can really ask for, especially for a rebuilding team like the Patriots. And I'll say this: I won't be, and this might be a hot take, I won't be surprised if you guys beat us in week number 4 because the 49ers, sadly, the first 2 weeks, I know, like, and I don't want to overreact to week 2, but
Oh
this
god.
reminds me, yeah, this reminds me of 2020 all over again, where everybody just seemingly got hurt and the
Mm.
49ers were like down like to backups at seemingly every position. And so, like, when I look at the Niners, like, the offense is just not in rhythm right now. Debo's probably going to miss that game. McCaffrey's going to be out for that game.
Yep.
It's going to come down to Ayuk and Kittle. And with how great the Patriots are playing defensively right now, like, I won't be surprised if it's like a low scoring game between these two teams. And when you have a low scoring game, like, anything can really happen. Like, it really can.
Yep.
It come down to like a turnover, come down to a field goal, and it just comes down to just like a fluky play to decide the game.
Yeah, we'll talk about our game between each other next week. But like you mentioned, the Patriots are going to be a little bit fortunate, I think, in the next couple weeks when it comes down to playing against some really tough teams. I obviously don't wish for any type of injuries, but like we just found out a couple days ago, and we'll talk about the opponent on just a little bit in the New York Jets, which we have tomorrow night. But Tua Tagovailoa, of course, with a very unfortunate hit that happened in week 2. Of course, Tua has been battling with many concussion problems prior to even this that happened, and unfortunately, we found out that he had another one, and he's going to be on the IR. And I think at this point in time with him, I'm not even worried about in terms of when he's going to come back. I'm just worried about in terms of how his family feels about this because it's been something specifically that you just don't mess with. Uh, in terms of your personal feel, your well-being comes first over playing football. So I'm curious in terms of to see what the Dolphins have, but we have them then in week 5. Tomorrow with the Jets. I think the Jets, and like I said, we'll talk about them in terms of full as in its entirety in a little bit. But they're, I think, just looking at the injury report, um, CJ Mosley, I think, is on the injury report right now. I'm not sure about the inactives currently, but the Patriots tomorrow are going to be without Vidarian Lowe, who I know a lot of people shit on, including myself from last year, but he was our starting left tackle. He's going to be out. And then City So, our left guard, is going to also be out tomorrow. So it's going to be really tough for the Patriots against a very vaunted defensive front for the Jets. But the Jets defense so far has not been great. I mean, at least their front hasn't been great. And if there's one thing with the Patriots, and like I said, we'll talk about it, as I do appreciate Isaiah for um, coming on here. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just look at it in terms of these next couple weeks for this team, and I think it just comes down to can they be able to take care of the football, and could they be able to cause turnovers from the other side? They were able to do that in the first week against Cincinnati, where they caused a couple of big time turnovers against a really good Cincinnati team, which I know is 0-2. So they've obviously had a very tough start to the year, but against a really tough place to play in Cincinnati, they went to their house and they found a way to pull off the upset. And then in the home opener last week against Seattle, they were this close. If it didn't come down to coupled plays down the stretch in the second quarter, and then of course the fourth quarter when they had a 3-point lead and they were driving specifically right around 3 minutes 30 seconds left. All they really needed to do is have a touchdown to potentially ice the game, or at least even another extra field goal because I know the defense obviously wasn't great against Gino and that offense. I mean, Gino absolutely carved us up. I'm not going to lie. That's going to be a really tough offense if they can all stay healthy. But instead of after Seattle obviously blocking that field goal, instead of the Patriots being up by 6, and then for them to drive and have to get a touchdown to win the game at that point in time, they just need to get 3. And at that point in time, they went down and they tied the game. And then in the overtime, Patriots went 3 and out. Fourth down was 4th and 1. And I thought personally, this is where I would have said go for it because the defense really was struggling that second half. It's pretty much if you don't get on 4th down, the game's going to be over regardless because essentially your pass half field, they essentially get the ball, and they're going to be within field goal range anyway. I think at this point in time, um, I obviously understand the pinning it back and stuff like that, but part of me is just like if you're going to go for it, I know the analytics obviously come into a play, but um, so we'll see specifically how tomorrow night goes. Like I said, Patriots, Jets, week 3, and we're gonna fully now get into it. Definitely want to thank Isaiah for coming on early. We might have him coming back on a little bit, but let's take a look at the Jets side of things and kind of where they're currently standing at this point right now. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is essentially on his way back from kind of getting himself back to the swing of things. He has played in now 2 games with the Jets fully after obviously missing pretty much the full entire season last year after losing him in the first 4 snaps in the first game of last season. And so far, I think he's been, for the most part, pretty solid. I mean, I know that obviously his mobility is not there just yet. I mean, it's really kind of hard to kind of put into account that, but in the first 2 weeks, Aaron Rodgers has 3 touchdowns to 1 interception, and the interception that he had essentially was off a deflection pass. I think in terms of most of the passes that Aaron Rodgers has had so far, at least from the outsides, his precision's been pretty solid. And for this Patriots defense, they're going to be very tested against a quarterback with a ton of experience, obviously, who's won a Super Bowl. He's essentially kind of that last man standing in the Tom Brady era, Philip Rivers and Drew Brees and that type of esque level of guys and quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers is basically the only one man left standing. Um, and yeah, I mean, I thought that in week 2, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, in both games specifically, he threw for under 200 yards. But I thought all in all, he was able to take care of the football. He had a 98.8 QB passing rating against the Titans. I know the Titans aren't great, but he made some big time throws and big time moments in that game in week 2. So, that Patriots defense, I know that obviously a big match to watch. And of course, we're talking about the Jets right now is Garrett Wilson against Christian Gonzalez. You have the best receiver on the Jets side against the best corner on the Patriots side. And the great thing is that Christian Gonzalez has gone against Garrett Wilson in the past. And I feel personally that Christian is able to kind of hold his own against Garrett Wilson. Now, to be fair, the Jets last year, once Rodgers went down, they essentially had quarterbacks of the likes of Zach Wilson and Trevor Siemian, and of course, guys that have a really hard time pushing the football down. We're going to see a much different version of that when we have Aaron Rodgers. Of course, a guy that Isaiah has mentioned a lot, and it is Aaron Rodgers and that New York Jets type team. Isaiah, I want to ask you this, of course, as we're getting to the Jets side of things on this show for tonight. What's your overall feel so far about Aaron Rodgers with the New York Jets now that he has fully played in 2 games so far with this new team? How do you feel like that offense is done? And before we get into the defense, do you think personally that Aaron Rodgers, and with his mobility, can he get back to that throughout the rest of this season after so far, most of the time not, he's been using a lot more of just his arm compared to his legs?
I feel like Aaron Rodgers has looked extremely rusty in his first couple of games. I feel like we're seeing what Aaron Rodgers would be in preseason, right? I think that it reminds me of like a baseball player coming back and it's spring training where they're just not they're kind of easing into it. They're not really like going full throttle. So it kind of reminds me of that. Like a lot of the throws that Rogers used to make, he's not really making it. He's short arming guys. A lot of the times he's not really going through his reads a lot. So it does remind me of kind of like, okay, Aaron Rodgers is coming back from a major injury. He's coming back from a really severe injury at an age where guys that typically that have those injuries end up retiring. So I no, I shouldn't have expected much from him. I don't think he was going to come out, throw for 300 yards in back-to-back games. But, I mean, I think he was better against the Titans than he definitely was against the Niners. And I think you're just going to keep seeing, like, more and more and more improvement because, he's just going to get that rust off. So I think you're probably going to see Rodgers back to what he was before the injury come, like, second half of the season. I think right now is just kind of like, a feeling around how it is, getting to know his weapons, especially with Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall. But the thing with this Jets team, though, Ben, is that Rodgers doesn't really have to do a lot for the Jets to have success because they have that great defense. They have a great running back in Brees Hall. Like this is, I think, might be like Aaron Rodgers' most complete team that he's had since he's won a Super Bowl because they
Mhm.
have like a really good running back. They have some really good receivers, especially with Garrett Wilson, who's just so dynamic with the
Yeah.
ball. And then the defense, this might be the best defense that he's had since like those days where the Packers had Clay Matthews and AJ Hawk. So I think that for the Jets, they're 1-1. I think that's kind of where everybody had them right now. It's going to
Yep.
be interesting to see like what happens like the next couple of games because they got the Patriots and I don't remember exactly who they have, but I think they have a really tough opponent coming up. But
Yeah,
it's going
they
to be
have.
interesting.
Well, actually, next week they have the Broncos, so they should have no
Oh,
problem with that. But then they have
okay.
the Vikings. They have the Vikings the week after, and I know Stevens Vikings so far has had a solid start. I mean, I obviously don't want to
They
get too
did.
ahead of myself, but give them props where props are due. So they have that
Yeah.
game on the 9:30 slot in a couple weeks. So that's what the Jets have after this.
Wow, yeah. So the Jets, I mean, they should be honestly though, like if you think about it, the Jets should be able, like, if they take care of business, to start like 4-1 or 3-1, or yeah, 4-1 or potentially 5-1. Like it's gonna be interesting to see like what they do. But with that schedule, with that defense, if it plays the way that we think that it's capable of playing, and then Aaron Rodgers just doesn't turn the football over, just be a game manager for now until you shake off the rust, then I think the Jets are set up for great success. I think right now, when you look at that division, the Dolphins obviously took a big hit with Tua being out for the next 4 to 5 games. The Patriots, I mean, they are competitive, but nobody expects them to win the division. The Bills, right now they're 2-0, but realistically they should be 1-1 because the Cardinals blew that game in Buffalo. I know Josh Allen put the team on his back, but still, I was very disappointed by the Cardinals in that game. I think that division is going to be very fun to watch throughout this entire season. I think you're on mute.
Sorry, thank you for that. Just taking a look at the Jets team stats here. When you mentioned Brees Hall, of course, he's a massive focal point to their offense. But you take a look at their backup as well, Braylon Allen, who had a massive touchdown against Tennessee. He's a guy to look out for so far on this team. And then you look at the receiving core, it doesn't really scare me outside of Garrett Wilson, but Al Lazard is a guy that Aaron Rodgers has been able to have connection with in the past, of course, in the first couple of weeks here with the team, and of course with Green Bay and with his days there. Mike Williams obviously is a big time threat. So they have pieces there, but obviously if you stop Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall, then you should be for the most part okay if you can be able to keep Rodgers in the pocket. Now, I will say so far as a couple things where I think the Patriots can take advantage, at least from the defensive end. I think that the offensive line so far from the New York Jets has had a very, very tough time keeping Aaron Rodgers upright. He's taken a decent amount of hits still. I know he's been able to kind of get back up. But if the Patriots core interior, which has done a pretty good job so far in the first couple weeks, if they can get Rodgers off of the spot, especially with him being rusty for the first couple weeks of being able to get out of the pocket, I think that might be one positive you could take away for this Patriots team to kind of keep it close tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for the Patriots, like you mentioned, don't let Rodgers get out of the pocket because when he gets out of the pocket, when he starts improvising, that's when Aaron Rodgers is at his very best. That's where he's very dynamic. I think for the Patriots, it starts with up front. If you stuff Breece Hall and make the Jets a one-dimensional passing team, I think you're in for great success. That's what the Niners did in the first week of the season, where they stuffed Breece Hall. They didn't let Breece Hall beat him, and they said, Aaron Rodgers, you're about a whole year away from playing football. Let's see if you can beat us. I think that's what the Patriots need to focus on with their game plan. Do not let Breece Hall beat you because the Jets know that they're a team that really likes to run the football, and then that sets up the play action pass. But if you stuff that and you make Aaron Rodgers just have to beat you, like I know we're talking about Aaron Rodgers, but Rodgers is still very rusty right now. And
Yeah.
I think that if you make Rodgers have to beat you, I don't know if he can do that. And I think that for the Patriots, that's going to end up, really going into their favor.
Definitely. All right, so we talked about the defense. Now we're going to flip around to the offense. Now, the offense, I think, so far and you want to hear a crazy stat so far with this team. The Patriots currently are number 2 in the league in time of possession in terms of offense, which if you told me, I know, like I said, it's only the first couple of weeks, so I can't get ahead of myself. But if you told me what the offense would be in time of possession in number 2, I would think you're absolutely crazy out of your mind, this and that, especially with the offensive line and with their overall struggles. But I got to give props are due, and it's been a massive part as to the running game. The Patriots have done a fantastic job with the rushing attack. The Jets are one of the teams that's had a very hard time stopping the Russian attack, and I think that's one way that you can attack the Jets is being able to keep the time of possession on your side with your Russian attack with Ramondre Stevenson and newcomer Antonio Gibson, who really showed out last week against the Seattle Seahawks. If you can get those guys going, the biggest thing, like you mentioned about Jacoby Brissett, he's going to be a game manager. Just be as turnover free as possible as you can. And I think another thing, too, that the Patriots offense needs to get going is to get their receivers involved. You saw Demario Douglas make a massive impact last year with that Patriots team, and he's not got a lot of touches, and he's shown some frustration so far in this week. The Patriots have to get some guys around outside of the Russian attack involved because you know for a fact the Jets defense is going to try to stop the run as much as they can.
They will. They will. And I think that for the Patriots, the Jets secondary, Ben, this season has been very underwhelming. They've been getting torched a few times already this season. Sauce Gardner, we know how great he is as a corner. But outside of that, they don't really have a number 2 that can really be that dynamic force that the Jets are looking for. Like, I think that for the Patriots, I think if you're New England right now, I could see big games out of their number 2 and number 3 receivers. Jalen Polk with his athleticism, his speed, I think that he could also be a major factor. And like you mentioned, like stopping the run. The Jets have a good defense, but right now they're struggling with stopping the run. I don't know what's up with that. Jermaine Johnson, one of those stout middle linebackers, he's out for the year, so that's a massive blow for the New York Jets. CJ Mosley, I don't know if he's going to play in that game, but if those two guys, if Mosley doesn't play and Johnson's already out for the year, like there's ways to attack this Jets defense, right? Like Ramondre Stevenson, I think can go wild in this game for the Patriots, and it's going to be great because if he goes wild, he goes crazy. You could run the football, control the time of possession, control the line of scrimmage, and then Jacoby Brissett, it will open up the play action pass game for him as well. So I think that with the Patriots, like I said, with the Jets, it starts with running the football. If you could get Stevenson and Gibson both going early, then I think that Brissett will have a lot more success. But if you don't run the football early and you can't have success running the football, then it's going to be a long day because we all know that Jacoby Brissett, as much as he's like a decent quarterback, he is prone to turning the football. Yeah, he's limited. Exactly. Like
Yeah,
he's not a guy that like if you have a 20, if you're down 21, you're down 14, right? He's not a guy that's gonna like be able to lead you to come back from that.
right. No, and I 100% agree. He specifically he's a step up from Mac Jones, but he's not much of a step up. But the biggest thing that he has, at least for the first couple of weeks, is being able to extend plays, which I think that's one thing that Mac really struggled with, and to get essentially Alex Van Pelt's offense is relied a lot on the tight ends. Hunter Henry has had a massive first couple weeks so far with the team. And we were talking about play action. Hunter Henry, I think, is going to be a massive part tomorrow night once again. The Jets covering tight ends, I feel like in the past has also been a weakness as well too. Now I know that obviously the Titans were really able to basically have Will Levis be completely dumb in a lot of situations for the Jets to even be back in a lot of the part of the game. They could have won it by two scores, and Will Levis made the most boneheaded mistake you could have possible. Just like essentially in week one with him. And we could talk about that another day, maybe on extra point. But yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, this Patriots offense, they're probably going to score within, 15, 20 points. But you look at it all in all, you keep the time of possession like you've been doing the first couple of weeks. You get maybe a turnover here and there on that defense from the offensive side from the New York Jets, and you make it interesting. And that's what my hope is for this whole entire season is essentially that. And I think all in all that, and we're gonna give our game prediction in just a little bit, and we'll give our X factor. But I think this offense can move the ball against the Jets defense. I don't know how much it's going to be, but I think that this Patriots offense, at least the first couple weeks, has been a much better offense than what I've had to see for the last couple weeks under Bill O'Brien and Mac Jones. Nothing to take away from Mac, man, but just having a veteran quarterback, especially that knows the system too. It's just a master relief to already come in and to know the system and to already have somebody come in with you as an offensive corner that can essentially you pretty much have two things coming in as one thing. You have a quarterback that's coming back in as a veteran that knows the system, and you have an OC that's coming in that essentially has already had a connection between the two with the past team. So it works essentially well into one. Now it's all about specifically can Jacoby be able to open up the playbook a little bit more for his wideouts because then essentially things could kind of get a little more on the interesting side. So that's essentially how I'm going to look at it. And now we could transit over to our X factors from both sides. So I'm going to go first, and I'm going to go to so far the Patriots, my offensive X factor and my defensive X factor. My offensive X factor, and I don't want to be boring about this one because I think he's obviously a massive one. He's had a first couple of weeks as Ramondre Stevenson. I'm not going to have him. My X factor coming into tomorrow is going to be Demario Douglas receiver. I think that they have to get this guy going and being active because I think the Jets are going to do everything they can to limit that run as much as they can with the Patriots. They're going to stack the box like a lot of teams have been doing against this team because they know for a fact there's not a lot of guys on the outside that are going to present mismatches, right? So I think that Tamara Douglas, whether it's through a screen, bubble screens, hitches, flag routes, they need to get this guy, active and early and often because you've seen already what's going on with the running game and how effective it's been, and you know how the so far the tight end usage has been with Alex Van Pelt, of course, coming into the overall system. The receivers have to find a way. I know obviously Jalen Polk got a touchdown, but the receivers have to start getting more involved if this offense wants to get to possibly that next level. And I think tomorrow Douglas has to be one of those guys coming in tomorrow night. So that's my X factor on the offensive side. My defensive factor on the X factor side is Jonathan Jones. Jonathan Jones, I think, has been a very good overall Patriot, but he's going to be going against that number two guy more likely than not, and that's going to be Alan Lazar. And I think that specifically that Chris Gonzalez is going to held his own, I think, against Garrett Wilson. So it's going to come down to can the second tier guy for the Patriots be able to hold down that second uh, receiver for the New York Jets. And I think if they do a good job against that, I think this Patriots team is going to be able to kind of keen in on the rushing attack from Brees Hall, and then Chris Gonzalez can kind of do his own thing on the outside. So those are my X factors from the Patriots side. We'll get to the Jets X factor on the other side after this, but I want to get to you, Isaiah. What's your X factor from the Patriots side offensively, and then the defensive factor, X factor defensively?
Well, I think the offensive X factor, I think for me, it starts with, you like you mentioned the receiver. I'm actually going to go with the quarterback. I think it goes to Jacoby Brissett because, like you mentioned, the Patriots, I mean, the Jets are going to stack the box. They're going to stop Ramondre Stevenson. They're going to stop Antonio Gibson. And it's going to be up to Jacoby Brissett and Alex Van Pelt to, I think, get Jacoby Brissett on the move out of the pocket because you know that Jets defense, that defensive line is ferocious and they're going to come right after Jacoby from the get go, especially on passing down. So I think it's going to be up to Jacoby Brissett to try to, use his mobility a little bit and then to get in and out of the pocket and to run around and make plays. And also, I think it's up to Jacoby with his arm to try to get at least put a dent in this Jets defense. Because if you could put a dent in this Jets defense, you could scare them a little bit with the passing game. It definitely opens up every aspect of the running game and every aspect of the offense in general. But if you're the Patriots and you can't get just a slimmer of the passing game going, then it's going to be a long day for you. So I think that for me, the X factor is it depends on how Jacoby plays. Because I think the Jets are going to stuff the run, and it's going to be up to Jacoby to make plays with both his arm and his legs in this game. And I think that's what Alex Van Pelt. That's one of the things I feel like he should do, and that is to get Jacoby using his legs a little bit, whether it's running the football a little bit or whether it's moving out of the pocket and throwing on the run. And in that way, you can open up some of the other stuff with the offense. And then I feel like for the defense, ooh, that's tough. I feel like for the defense for the Patriots, I'm not gonna say one player. I'm gonna say their defensive line, especially their run
Mm,
defense, because
okay.
like I said earlier, if you stuff Brees Hall, if you're able to contain him, that makes the Jets offense. It makes the Jets offense very stagnant, like we've seen.
Mhm.
That's what the Titans did early. Like you mentioned, if Will Levis did not have that absolutely
Oh my
stupid
god.
boneheaded play, and we'll talk about that on Extra Point tomorrow. But if he didn't have that just absolutely dismal, pathetic play, the Titans would have been up double digits in that game.
Mhm.
And the Titans, I felt like were controlling that game until he made that boneheaded play.
2
And
weeks
just
now with that team, by the way. 2
right,
weeks for
right.
them.
Oh, and you would think he would learn. Like the first one against the
Right.
Bears, that was just egregious. Where he's about to go on the ground, and he just throws the ball backward. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, come on, man. Like, oh my gosh. But I think with this Jets team, like they've shown that if they cannot run the football, that passing game. They're still trying to get it going, and they haven't been able to thus far. And this defense, I'm gonna say this: they have been underwhelming thus far in the first couple of weeks of the season. Like you should have not only should you have beaten the Titans, you should have blown them out because that offense is
Mm.
like not that good, and you weren't that good against that Titans offensive line. So I'm gonna say I think for the Patriots, it's the boys up front. It's that run defense. If they're able to stuff the run, I think New England is gonna be in pretty good shape.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. We're gonna go to the Jets X Factor side, the tail of the tape on the other side. For me on the offense for the New York Jets, I think it's going to come down to the Russian attack for the Jets because I think that if the Jets have the Russian attack going, I think it could be a really long game for the Patriots defense because the last thing they want to do is to essentially have Aaron Rodgers start to cook on the play action. And if that Russian attack be able to get going, they could be able to control the clock. That's going to be a long game, for the Patriots. They're going to have to be able to control the time possession on their hand as much as possible. And if they don't have enough time on a lot of their chances, I think it's going to be a long one for this Patriots team, especially at their own building. It's their home opener. They're going to be going nuts. And it's also Aaron Rodgers' first game back from the unfortunate injury that he suffered last year at the Meadowlands. So it's going to all be crazy tomorrow night, and it's going against the Patriots, their arch nemesis. So they want everything right to us in this one tomorrow. So I think that the rushing attack for the Jets is the massive X factor for them against us, and then their defense. I think it's gonna be Sauce Gardner. I think that Sauce Gardner has been, like you mentioned, a little underwhelming. I think Sauce has been fine, but I don't think he's been great. I think that so far this secondary has been very underwhelming, and I think that this Patriots offense attack on the outside still does not present a true playmaker. So I think that all in all, if that Jets secondary can just start to lock in, they're gonna kind of be like, all right, we're going to let the Patriots try to run the football and essentially throw pretty much under the numbers, which essentially, 3 yards, 4 yard type of routes. And, if Kobe essentially can't get the ball out quick, if the Jets pretty much are blitzing a lot on a lot of their drives and the secondary is playing well, um, I think the Jets are going to pull this out. So, and we'll get over our prediction a little bit, but I'm going to go to you now on the other side of things with the Jets. Your offense and your defense play X factors coming in to tomorrow night.
Yeah, so my offensive X factors for the Jets is I think for the Jets, it really is going to come down to, and I don't know if he's like an X factor, but it really is going to come down to I feel like Garrett Wilson and how he plays
Mm,
because I think the Jets, I mean the Patriots are going to take away the run game. They're going to force Aaron Rodgers to throw the football 20 I would say 30 35 times.
that'll work.
And I think I think Rodgers, they're going to be pass happy and they're going to have to be. So I think that look, Garrett Wilson is a number one receiver,
Oh
and
yeah.
he's been all right, but like you said with
Hmm.
Sauce Gardner, he hasn't been great, and that's the
Hmm.
one thing with both Gardner and Wilson is that we expect them to be great. They just haven't been that. They've been good. They just haven't been great. And
Hmm.
I think when you're going up against Christian Gonzalez, a number one true lockdown corner, for Garrett Wilson, it's time to show that he's a great wide receiver, and it's time to show that it's time to have that rapport with Aaron Rodgers. So I think for him, it comes down to that because I feel like I said, the run game is going to be stuffed. And then it's going to come down to can your playmakers in the passing game make plays? And Garrett Wilson's got to be great. Alan Lazard, he can't drop some of the footballs over the middle like he's been doing. And also, I wanted to see the Jets utilize Mike Williams because I feel like he's
Hmm.
a really good downfield threat as a
Yep.
receiver. It's just that they haven't been able to utilize him right now. I know he's coming back from major ACL injury, but still, like if you can utilize him, have a guy go down the field and have that threat, it's going to open up everything in the intermediate game. So for me, Garrett Wilson is my X factor. And then for the defensive side, I'm going to go with Jets defensive lineman Solomon Thomas because he's
Mm.
the guy that goes. He's the middleman. He's the guy that eats up a lot of blocks. He's the guy that is in charge of, or one of the guys that's in charge of being a run stuffer. And like we talked about like tonight a lot, you got to stuff the run if you're the Jets and if you're the Patriots. You got to stuff the run and force the other team to be a pass happy team. And if you do that, you're going to win the game. And I think that if Solomon Thomas is able to continue his success being an elite run stuffer, then I think sadly the Patriots are going to be in for a long night.
Yeah, 100%. I think that we pretty much got those points from both of the sides. So, with that being said, and this is kind of an early extra point prediction, but since we have Thursday Night Football tomorrow night and essentially my team, we're going to go for it. We're going to do our game prediction for the game tomorrow night. Uh, and, like we were talking about, I think kind of from both sides, kind of what to expect. I'll give an overall final score in kind of terms of what I think. The Jets are currently laying at 6.5, which so essentially they mean that it's going to be a close one. I think that line is pretty fair overall. And like you said, the New York Jets against the Titans, a team that I think is not expected to do much this year. They basically were pretty much were within it for the most part. And the Patriots defense has been able to kind of hold its ground against two really good offenses. The Patriots have had to go against Jamar Chase in the first week and then DK Metcalf in the second week. So it's not like specific of the Patriots defense is not afraid of anybody, at least so far, in terms of when it comes to challenges. Um, but for me specifically, and I know the Patriots have owned the Jets at the Meadowlands or MetLife, and I guess you can tell it for this point in time right now. But I think with Aaron Rodgers coming back, it's a short week. The Patriots' offensive line's a little bit decimated on the left-hand side. The Jets, I think, are their line. I think is going to definitely prove hunting, essentially, I guess you can say. And Jacoby Brissett, man, he took some massive hits in that second game against the Seattle Seahawks. So, if our offensive line cannot hold Jacoby upright, and there's so many hits that he can take, it's not going to be pretty. And the game tomorrow night, but I'm gonna go with this. I unfortunately think that the Patriots are going to come up a little bit short, but like I said, I think it's gonna be similar to the first couple of weeks. They're going to battle it out. They even might have a lead tomorrow, but Aaron Rodgers, I just think, is the difference maker in this game. I just think that now, essentially, the Patriots have had to go against the Jets quarterbacks and kind of the cycles in the past, like Zach Wilson or Trevor Simeon. Guys specifically, I'm like, all right, I think we're okay. Despite all the talent they have around side. But now you're talking about Aaron Rodgers, that bad man, according to Stephen A. Smith. And I know that obviously he's not the same guy he once was, but he just presents that overall, that quarterback with a ton of experience. And like you said, he's rusty, but I'd rather take it Aaron Rodgers as a rusty quarterback at anybody that we have, of course, on our team as quarterbacks. So, and I think for a lot of teams, to be honest. But I'm going to go with 23-17, the New York Jets. I think it's going to be a very, I guess, a low scoring, but like a higher scoring kind of game at the same time. But I think that the Jets are going to make the Patriots pass the ball right at the end. It's going to come down to a couple plays, I think. But and I hate to say the moral victory standpoint, but I think with this team, they're gonna have a ton of it, just like the last couple of years, just because they just don't have enough talent out there. And I think the Justice have a little bit more talent than this team does. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that the score is reversed in terms of our favor. But I'm being realistic here. I'm taking my bias out. I'm gonna go with the Jets, 23-17. The Patriots go down to 1-2, and then they go obviously to take on you guys. But if they come out on top, that's a massive win because I don't think a lot of people are expecting us to go to San Francisco, despite obviously with you guys being hurt and very decimated, and to go across country and win that game. I just don't think anybody's expecting that. But in the game tomorrow, of course, my focus is of right now. I think we come up short, but I think it's going to be a close one. I'm going to say Jets 23, Patriots 17.
Okay, I think I probably would agree with you in terms of like the score a little bit. I think like you said, I think that well, first of all, I didn't even realize this game was in MetLife, so that changes everything because
Yeah.
we all know what happened on September 11th last year when Aaron Rodgers took that American flag and ran down the went
Oh,
out the
God.
tunnel, and then three
Oh,
plays later or four plays later towards ACL or
he
towards
couldn't
Achilles.
make it up. He couldn't. It
Yeah,
looked like it was gonna be a magical, like even with
right.
me taking my bias out. It was 9/11. It was his home opener. If there's any night, I mean, I don't like the Jets at all, but if there's any night for them, I could like kind of take my bias out and have them win. That would have been the night. Like be like, it's 9/11. Aaron Rodgers, like, oh my god, give me that. And it's like 4 plays in. And I told my dad when that happened, I said, and I didn't want to be, what about I'm like, that's so Jets, man. Like the curse of the Jets. Like essentially one thing that you can get from that, and it's like, good God. And I was telling a bunch of my buddies too. I'm just like, man, I'm sorry. I don't even know like how they even take it year after year. But it's good to essentially see them have the quarterback of the long. I mean, probably the long term, at least for the next couple of years. But yeah, it's going to be out there play. So the buildings definitely should be rocking. And we're going to be, of course, expected to challenge.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like this, I mean, the building's going to be rocking. It's going to be electric tomorrow night at MetLife. I hope for Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit's sake that it's a close game because the games on Thursday Night Football have just been atrocious the last several
Oh, I
years.
know.
And I mean, yeah, last week we all like I think we all anticipated, oh my God, Bills versus Dolphins, like this is gonna be a classic shootout. It's gonna be such a fun game. But then like Tua just has an awful start to the game. And then,
Yep.
he gets hurt and we're all praying for him to get back and who knows if he should even play moving forward. But yeah, like that game was just awful. But hopefully this one, I mean, the building's gonna be rocking. The Jets and the Patriots both have really good defenses, both have quarterbacks that right now Jacoby Brissett, we all know what he is. Aaron Rodgers, he's rusty right now. The offense hasn't been that good. So it just seems like it's pretty evenly matched teams going at it. And you know, when the Patriots and the Jets play each other, they both hate each other. Like, it's no secret about it. Like, they both just absolutely despise each other. And
Hmm.
so I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be very defensive oriented this game from start to finish. And I think that I think Rodgers has a couple of drives where you can see he's the difference maker and why he is such a great quarterback in this game. So I'm gonna go with I'm going to go with the Jets to win this game. I think that it's going to be a close defensive battle. I'm going to go Jets like 17 to like 10. I think that it's like
Okay.
one of those like defensive games, run the football, play defense, and then the quarterback just makes like one or two great plays, and that's the difference maker for why they win the game.
17-10. I'm gonna take a look at the weather really quick because when you essentially have scores like that, all right, never mind. It's gonna be nice tomorrow night. But like you mentioned, if it's gonna be a defensive battle, I'm all here for it. And like you said, the defenses do not like each other. The teams don't like each other. And you have the head coaching matchup too between Mayo and Robert Sala. Now I know that Jeff fans in the last couple of years haven't been as high on Robert Sala as maybe they once were. So really quickly before we end the show for tonight, like Isaiah, like I mentioned, I hope that you enjoyed the show, and I want to thank you for coming on. Like I said, I know you weren't feeling great earlier. Um, is there any type of hey coaching I mean, I don't really think there's a massive mismatch between either guys. No, I mean, yeah, I feel like most, like you're mentioning, it's kind of evenly matched between the guys on the field, but off the field too, on the sidelines, I think that between Sal and Mayo, I think that they're kind of on the younger side on both sides, but they have enough experience where I think that they're both defensive minded, and yeah, I think we can be in for a defensive game as well too.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the head coaching advantage, I would give it to Salah just because he's been a head
Yeah,
coach
of course.
longer than Mayo. But I mean, I've been impressed with Mayo. I think that Mayo's
Hmm.
going to be a really good head coach in this league. I watched this on, I think it was Instagram today, where Mayo was joking around, pranking fellow staffers,
I
on the
saw that. Yeah.
sidelines. Yeah, yeah, it was very funny.
Yeah.
But like Mail's just it's different from the Bill Belichick regime where Bill Belichick was just stoic, he
Mhm.
wasn't really like, having fun on the sidelines. He was just all about the business. And look, that won them
Mhm.
6 Super Bowls, but having
Right.
that change is very refreshing. And I think you're seeing
Mhm.
that with the Patriots where, Mail is keeping it light, he's keeping it kind of fun, and it's
And
just a
loose
different
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it's loose. Yeah, exactly. Like it's a different environment right now
Oh
in
yeah.
New England, and I think the players are feeding off of it, and you're seeing it translate on the field with the Patriots coming out really strong in back-to-back games to start the season and being very, very competitive. So I think Mayo, I think I'm liking what I'm seeing. Like I've been very impressed. Like I know that when he first got hired, I was one of those that weren't really sure about it, just because I thought the Patriots would have been better off getting an offensive-minded coach in to fix that offense. But yeah, I've been very impressed with Mayo's leadership as well as the defense. Like I said, you lose your star pass rusher to start the season, you trade him away, and you end up, the defense ends up just staying the same like it is. Like no matter who's on the field, like the defense is just going to be so great.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the team, this new regime and stuff like that. You need to have for a young team like this team. You need to be loose. You need to essentially get those guys going because that's the only way that they can learn. I know with Belichick, with a lot of his teams, they're more veteran oriented, and I know that was obviously great for the amount of times that we won and stuff. But with a new regime and stuff like that, I think that is a massive refresher on that. So that's that. Loro had a comment really quick. Hey, Ben, hope the Patriots beat the Jets tomorrow. Yes, Loro, I definitely agree. I'm hoping for that. I am praying for that, knowing that I don't like the Jets, but we'll see. It should be a really good one. That'll be it for tonight on our Patriots preview show. Um, I don't know if I'm going to do another Kicking with Cruz show, but Isaiah, like we were talking about during our program, we hopefully will have the extra point tomorrow night. If there's any type of other news that you want to get into, feel free to as well. But quickly, my final thoughts were a great show. I'm really excited for the game for tomorrow night. Um, it's kind of refreshing to kind of be actually excited. I know, like the last couple of years, it's just like, well, we're playing tomorrow and this and that. It's just like, I can't really, complain too much with the way that things were going. But man, it's just like, it's really kind of nice at times to have like no expectation and just kind of see like how things are going with that. So that's kind of interesting. It's kind of really fun at the same time to kind of see the growth of some of the players as well. So yeah, like I said, I'm really excited for the game tomorrow. I'm expecting it to be close. I'll be a little disappointed if it's kind of a blow. I'm not gonna lie. If the Jets blow us out, but we'll see how things go. But yeah, let's go Pats, and definitely we'll talk about it more. I guess tomorrow on Extra Point. So I'll take it to you, Isaiah.
Yeah, man, it was a great show. I'm glad that I was able to, feel a lot better and be able to jump on just for a short time, and talk some football with you. It's been a great first couple of weeks of the season, both
Hmm.
in the NFL and also in college. I mean, we've had so many surprises, like the Saints lighting up the scoreboard.
Oh
You
God,
know, yeah, the Patriots being competitive. The Seahawks starting out 2-0. I don't think anybody expected that.
the
The
Ravens are 0-2.
Yeah, the Ravens are 0-2. The Vikings are 2-0 with Sam freaking Darnold as their quarterback. Yeah, it's just been a really, and then not to mention, we'll talk about this tomorrow as well. The Eagles choking the game the way
Oh
they
no,
did
oh no.
against the Falcons. Like when
Oh.
they had a bet, they had a 98% chance to win that game before Saquon dropped it. And I don't know about you, but I was watching the game and I was like, when Saquon dropped that ball, I was like, yeah, they're gonna lose. Like I don't know why, I just had this feeling that they were gonna blow it, and that's on Nick Sirianni. Like, come on, man. Like
Mhm.
you have 3rd and 3, a minute 40 left, and you call a pass play. Like I don't care if it's Saquon was open, but still, that's just a stupid decision. And then in the college world, I mean, you have literally like Georgia struggling against Kentucky. You have Michigan looking just awful. FSU is 0-3 somehow, some way. The Florida Gators gets absolutely spanked by Texas A&M, a mid Texas A&M team with their backup quarterback, and now everybody's like hunting for Billy Napier's head.
Mm.
I mean, it's crazy. And then like we had news today that John Gruden's open to like coming back to coaching and not coaching in the
Oh wow.
NFL, but
Mm.
coaching in college football.
Oh my
So
God, that would be
like
nuts.
yeah, it's been a crazy day. It's been a crazy like first month of the football season, and I mean it's I can't wait to see what happens moving forward, because if this couple weeks, this first 3 weeks of the season is like an indication of what's to come, like I think we're in for like a really really exciting fun football season. Poor Giants and poor like
Panthers.
I mean, good lord, the New York
Yeah.
Giants just find just weird, awful ways to lose, from getting blown out to you lose because you knew your kicker was hurt, and instead of getting a backup kicker in, you send him out with a hamstring strain to kick, and of course he's gonna miss the field goal. Like, what do you expect? Like, come on,
Uh,
Dable. Like,
and
that's
then
just
they sign a guy like a couple days after. Like it's so like erratic timing, which is so the funny part about it. It's like, dude, like you don't have a backup. Like not even like your punter could even try it. So I
yeah.
don't know. And then we also got to talk about. I know we're kind of getting a little off topic here, but we also got to talk about the benching of Bryce Young. I know with the
Yes.
Panthers are in massive disarray, but Bryce Young is not taking it well at all. I know there's obviously been some speculation of maybe a team like the Giants
Oh God.
possibly trading him. I don't even think that would be great at all, but yeah, we'll talk all about that stuff on Extra Points. So make sure, guys, to if you guys like want to hear some more football, make sure to join in for that show tomorrow night.
Ben, I do want to say one more thing before I give it back to you to end the show. And I know this is a football show. This isn't football related, but I do want to give a shout out to Woj on a fantastic career. I mean, what a bombshell today that he retired from, being in the news and breaking
Yep.
news and breaking basketball news to be a GM, which is absolutely bonkers. It's crazy, but I mean, I get it. Like, you don't like, when you're working like 19, 20 hours a day, you're constantly on your phone. Like, it's crazy how much internet time these guys are exposed to. But yeah, shout out to Woj, a great career, and hopefully, he's happier in this new adventure that he's going to be doing.
Yeah, that definitely caught me off guard, but of course, it wouldn't be a Woj retirement without a Woj bomb. So I think that kind of capped off a what hell of a overall great tenure with ESPN. I know that obviously they have some guys, I think, hopefully coming in soon, but nobody's taken over kind of what he's going to be able to replace. I mean, that guy is an absolute legend. He essentially was one guy, one reason why I'd be up late at night during the NBA trade deadline, catching up with all that. Obviously, the fun memories. Obviously, the probably the best overall tweet he had was the NBA shutting down the season, even though that was kind of the worst that everybody was expecting. But it's just like, oh my god, like he just had it, and then people are just going nuts, especially in like part of COVID, which I do not want to relive. Whatever, once again. But yeah, obviously, yeah, just give Mike tip of the cap. He's one of the best to ever do it, and definitely wish him well for his next stint over at St. Bonaventure. I think he's going to do great things over there. All right, so without further ado, guys, that'll conclude for tonight's show on Patriots preview. I hope to hopefully do some of these kind of throughout the season, but I figure that with the Patriots having a massive game tomorrow night, I figure that we get some content into you guys, tonight on the program. I want to thank Isaiah for coming on. Like I said, definitely you sounded fine from throughout the show, so at least that's good news. Um, you know, like I said, always appreciate to have you come on. We hopefully will have kick in with Cruz. Hopefully, maybe the end of this weekend. I'm not terribly sure. Definitely with baseball coming to the peak now with only a couple weeks left, and of course we have playoffs coming up soon. Crazy that September's almost over too. We got October coming up, which is going to be one of the best months of the year.
Yep.
So that'll be absolutely awesome. So can't wait for all that type of stuff. But guys, um, unless Isaiah has anything else you want to talk about, that'll do it for Pages Preview. Make sure to follow, like, comment, subscribe to all of our stuff on YouTube and Facebook on the MI6 IM6 Sports Network. And also make sure to join tomorrow night on the Extra Point. Me and Isaiah, we might have Laurel as well. We're not terribly sure about that, but we ride with who we ride with. Maybe James Gonzalez. Like I said, we ride who we ride with. So without further ado, guys, thank you guys for joining. Let's go, Pats. Gonna be a good one tomorrow night, 8:30 on Amazon Prime, and we'll catch you guys on the other flip side of it. Thank you guys, and have a good one.